I realized AI changed my behavior when I noticed one small thing. I don't always start with my own thoughts anymore. I start by asking ChatGPT. And I don't think this is just about productivity. I think AI is changing something deeper. The moment before we write, search, decide, and trust ourselves. I am Alexandra and I am documenting one of the biggest shifts of our time. How AI is changing us, the way we search, learn, work, and live. Everyone is talking about what AI can do. I'm more interested in what AI is doing to us. So today I want to talk about one question. Is AI making us faster, or is it changing our relationship with our own thinking? The first place I noticed this was writing. Before AI, if I needed to write a post, a message, a script, or an email, I would usually start with a draft. I had to sit with a blank page, ask myself what I'm trying to say. Now, very often, okay, let's say always, I start differently. I ask ChatGPT, can you structure this idea? Can you make this clearer? Can you give me another angle? Can you turn this into a LinkedIn post, for example? Can you write a script based on this thought? So it helps me move faster. It removes the friction of starting. But here is the uncomfortable part. Sometimes the versions of my ideas no longer comes from me. They comes from AI. They comes from a computer machine. And then, of course, I edit it, I improve it, I make it more personal, and I started asking myself, if AI gives me the first version of my thoughts often enough, does it slowly change my voice? Not because it replaces me completely, of course, no, but because it becomes the first mirror I look into before I hear myself. So when behavior becomes normal, it starts changing the culture. I was reading a study from MIT Media Lab called Your Brain on ChatGPT, which looked at people writing essays with different levels of assistance, like using ChatGPT, using search engines, or using their own brain. This study started a lot of discussion around the idea of cognitive depth, the possibility that relying too much on AI for thinking tasks could have consequences for memory, ownership, and mental efforts. But I want to be careful here because this research is still very early and some researchers have criticized parts of the methodology and interpretation, so I don't want to use it as a proof that AI is bad for your brain. That's not the point. The point is that we are entering a new phase where we need to ask better questions. Not just can AI do this task, but what happens to me when I use AI for this task every day? The second thing AI changed is how I search. I used to Google things, of course, like everyone else. When I was studying in university, I remember I was going to libraries to read books and find some rare information. It was a lot of fun. Now it sounds very romantic. And Google search had a certain behavior built into it. You typed something, you saw links, you compared sources, you opened tabs, you got distracted, you discovered things you weren't looking for. Search also forced you to navigate. Now with AI, search feels a bit different. I don't always look for information, I ask for an answer. Instead of searching the best places for breakfast in Paris, open TripAdvisor, different websites, read the reviews, I became so lazy, I just opened ChatGPT and I asked, give me 5 top places in Paris for breakfast in this area. And instead of exploring the internet, I get a fast answer. But again, I keep wondering, what happens to curiosity when answers become instant? Because curiosity often, lives somewhere in the messy middle. In the tabs you didn't plan to open, in the article you found by accident, in the moment where you realize your original question was not even the right question, in a review written by a stranger. AI gives us answers faster, but sometimes I wonder if it makes the path too clean and maybe the path matters more than we think. The third thing AI changed is decision making. And this one feels even more personal for me Because sometimes I don't ask AI for information, I ask it to help me to decide. And like, should I write this post in English or Ukrainian? Should I position my startup this way or maybe better that way? Should I say yes to this opportunity? How should I respond to this message? Should I don't know, focus on that or that things? Of course, AI doesn't decide for me for now, but it gives me options, it gives me arguments, it organizes my thoughts. And sometimes that is very helpful, but sometimes I ask myself, am I using AI to think more clearly, or am I using it because I don't want to sit with uncertainty? Because uncertainty is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable not to know, it's uncomfortable to choose. It's uncomfortable to trust your own judgment before someone or something validates it. And AI is very good at giving us the feeling of clarity. Even when clarity is not the same as wisdom, that's where I think the real shift is happening, not in the tools, but in our relationship with doubt. This is why I think the conversation about AI is too narrow. Most of the AI industry talks about tools, new models, new agents, new prompts, new automations, like new productivity hacks. If you open LinkedIn, you will just go crazy. But I think the deeper question is a human adaptation. How we are adapting to the fact that intelligence is now available on demand. How does it change our confidence? How does it change creativity? How does it change learning and studying? How does it change our professional identity? Because if you are a writer, an AI can write. If you're a marketer, an AI can generate campaigns. If you're a designer, an AI can create visuals. If you're a junior employee, an AI can do many entry-level tasks. Then the question is not only what tool should I use. The question is, what is my value now? And that is not a technical question. That is a human question. So I'm trying to create a few rules for myself. Rule number 1, think first. Ask AI second, even if it's just for 2 minutes. Before I ask ChatGPT, I write my own raw thoughts. I have even bought Remarkable, where I write my thoughts all the time, and it really helps me a lot. I really like handwriting, I have a feeling that it helps me to concentrate more, to absorb information more deeply, and just to have more focus. So maybe you also try to buy some paper notebook or digital one. Rule number 2. Use AI as a partner, not as the first author of my mind. I want AI to challenge me, I like it, expand me, organize me. I don't want it to replace the first moment where I meet my own thoughts. Rule number 3. Always ask, what is this doing to my behavior? Not just, did AI help me finish faster, but did I understand better? Did I think deeper? Did I make a better decision? Did I learn something? Or did I just avoid discomfort? Because speed is not the same as growth, and productivity is not the same as thinking. So yes, AI changed my behavior. It changed how I write, how I search, how I decide, and how I start projects. And I don't think this is simply good or bad for now. I think it is something I need to observe. Because the biggest changes, they don't always happen when a new technology appears. Sometimes they happen quietly inside our habits, inside our first instinct, inside our first thoughts. So inside the moment where we used to pause and think, now we just ask and get answers like that. So the question I want to leave you with is this. At what point does a tool stop being just a tool and become a part of how we think? And if AI is becoming part of how we think, then we need to be much more intentional about how we use it. Because the future will not only be shaped by the tools we build, it will be shaped by the habits those tools create in us. If you are also curious about how AI is changing, not only technology but us, how we think, work, create, search, decide, and understand ourselves, subscribe to my channel. This is what I want to explore here, how AI is changing us.